What's going on, guys? It's me, Juliana Fan HC here, and today we have another model plane unboxing review for you guys. I hope you guys are excited for today's video. We actually got two boxes for today's video, so let's get started with the one on top, which are actually Tiny Tug Designs GSE. So not only I'll be unboxing a model in today's video, but I'll also be unboxing some GSE equipment as well, as I do got a couple of GSE from Tiny Tugs. So yeah, looking forward to unboxing those. But we also have this box as well. This box comes from Panda Fox Toys, and honestly, it has been a while since I last done, since I last ordered a model from Panda Fox Toys. I believe somewhere around earlier this year is the last time I ordered from there. Somewhere earlier this year is when I last ordered from them. I think it has to deal with some of the other free shipping, other retail stores that also have free shipping. I still like purchasing models from Panda Fox Toys, but mainly it's just GeminiJets and all that stuff. Anything related to NG, but majority of the times I would purchase models from Panda Fox when it's GeminiJets. But I do got another GeminiJets model right here, and I'm just looking forward to unboxing this alongside the GSE from Tiny Tug. So what I do want to start with first is unboxing the Tiny Tug Designs GSE, because I got a couple of GSE equipment vehicles that I'm gonna be featuring in today's video. So before we go into the model, let's unbox the GSE equipment from Tiny Tug Designs first. So with that being said, let's move on to the next clip, as I am going to be unboxing those models. Well, not really models, as I'm going to be unboxing the GSE equipment. Alright, so we're really going into a different setup right here. So we're going to first unbox some GSE equipment I got from Tiny Tug Designs. Now, this is not the first time I got some Tiny Tug Designs models, as I did an unboxing on that, an individual unboxing on a previous video I did months ago, where I got the lab trucks and the pushback tugs. Here I got a couple of tugs, and I think this could be the first time I ever had this. Well, I already featured this on some of my airport updates, but I did got some GPUs and what are those? Air starter equipment stuff as well. So these are all in here. So as you can see, it's packed in a single white box, and I think I should probably unbox it from over here. So with that being said, let me try to do that. Or maybe it's honestly, with these Tiny Tug boxes, it's kind of hard to figure out where the opening is, but I think I should know just by opening all these stuff. So let's see here, maybe I should open this. Yeah, I also don't want to try cutting myself as well, because using these this box cutter, and I don't want to but we're gonna be unboxing this. Yeah, it's gonna take a bit, you guys, so be patient. I'm trying to figure out a way. Ooh, that was a close one right there. But as I was saying, I'm trying to figure out a way on how I can open this up without injuring myself. There we go. So just cut that like so, and cut it over there like that, I guess. Not sure if I cut it completely. There we go. So as I take out, open the flap. Ooh, I think I also forgot to, yeah, I think I forgot to cut this part as well, so let me just do that. There we go. And yeah, they do have an eBay page. They don't have an official website, so I mostly would, they only have an eBay page, so that's it. But I think they have talks of doing a website at some point. But yeah, for now, they just have an eBay page. So here's the warning choking hazard sign right there. It's more of a sticker, but I'll just place it there. But inside are the ones I got. So here it is. So we first have the business card right there. Thank you for your purchase, and you can follow them on their Instagram page, and there's their website right there, tinytugdesigns.com. Once again, it just brings you to their page, the eBay page. But here are all the two equipments I have, two GSE stuff. So the first one are these open tugs, which I do have some tugs already, but I never had tugs that look like this. So these are the out air tugs. I would usually see these during my work shift. And I also got some GPUs and not rat turbines, what are those? Oh yeah, air starters as well. They also come with tugs as well, but mainly they come I think there's two tugs from what I'm seeing. Or maybe there's just one. Oh yeah, there's two. But yeah, I did got those. So yeah, looking forward to using these are some of my airport updates. We're gonna move on to the next video clip where I talk about all like these individual pieces one by one. So with that being said, let me just take out all these stuff, and we're gonna transition into the next video clip where I talk about all these GSE equipment. Alright, so the first tiny tug product you're seeing on screen are the open tugs. So basically like the open air tugs that you would sometimes see at airports. Again, as mentioned before, I do have, or during my work, there are a few open air tugs that are like gas powered that I would see during my work, but normally throughout the operation I would mostly use like the electric tugs. And yeah, those are honestly, I think those are like fuel saving because like they're just powered on electric. So yeah, but I do want to get these. So these come in a set of 8 tugs right there. And yeah, like I do want to like get these because like I do want to add some variety of like the tugs that I would use, because mostly the tugs, like I would usually use the tugs from GeminiJets and all the other like jet set models, for instance. But as I take it out, here they are. So let me just set these aside, and then we're just gonna review one. So as I zoom into my camera, so here are all the tugs, but here we have the tug right here, and this is how far my camera can zoom in. So I do want to get my pencil somewhere, so let me just look at that. Just gonna keep the video on, but I do find my pencil right here. So let's get started with a review of this little tug right there. So as you can see, here is like the grill of the vehicle right there. I do like how the details representing the grill of the vehicle. You got the wheels right there, and yeah, it's kind of like your average like open air tug, like gas powered tug. It basically looks like this. I also like on how they were able to include a steering wheel there. And once again, this is accurate in 1/4 scale, so there isn't that much details, but I do love the fact they added like just a little bit of details. Once again, you got the grill right there, and then you got the various like wheels and the shape of like the tug, which I think Tiny Tug did a wonderful job on doing. You also got the back lights right there, so the back rear lights, and then you also got the tug right there, or not really the tug, just the tow bar over there. So really cool right there. And yeah, there isn't nothing much to go over. Again, like I just kind of give you guys a little circle of the thing, but I do love on how this is represented here for Tiny Tug, and yeah, it overall looks nice. And this is like one of the recent products they introduced. Like I think they introduced this like a few weeks ago, so this is still relatively new, and I'm really glad to have a couple of these for my GSE collection. So overall, here are all the open air gas powered tugs, and overall I think Tiny Tug Design did a great job on designing these, or 3D printing them. But overall, just really impressive on the look of it. But yeah, this is honestly really almost like a good, accurate representation of like an open air tug. And yeah, once again, Tiny Tug Designs, they did a wonderful job on really replicating this in 1/4 scale. So here's a look of all 8 of them, and yeah, great work Tiny Tug Designs on this. And yeah, looking forward to featuring those on some of my airport updates I do. So yeah, excuse me. But yeah, that's all the Tiny Tug Designs open air tug vehicles right there. But I also got the other products where they feature the GPU and air starters as well. So with that being said, let's move on to the air starters and GPUs. The next set of GSE equipment we're going to be taking a look at are the GPU and air starters. So I'm looking forward to having these. Now, I think on some of my airport updates I did try to replicate a GPU like connected to an airplane. However, I think those are from GeminiJets, and honestly, I think they're not really as accurate. So I was thinking of like, you know, like what if I want to try to get some accurate and detailed, not really saying accurate, but well detailed GPU starters and like air starters as well. So that's where Tiny Tug's design came in. They were able to make this, and really glad to have them. So let's get into the unboxing. Well, technically they're all wrapped up in, like, they're all inside a Ziploc bag, so let's take those out. Let's review each of these one by one. So each of them comes with 2 tugs. Like, these are kind of like representing the electric tugs. Like the previous one, as mentioned before, I do have like the gas power tugs, and I do have these 2 electric tugs. And here is the tiny little GPU. So these long vehicles, I would say long, I'm not sure how to like describe it, like how I say it in a short way, but these are the GPU units. So this is where you would like hook up to the aircraft, depending on which side it is, but mostly you would hook up the aircraft to to like the front part, and that's where it starts all like the various like electrical systems inside of the airplane. And over here, these bigger ones, these are the air starter units. So the air starter units would come in handy in case like mostly to like start the engine. Like if there's like if there's not enough air to like if there's not enough air to like really spin the engines, then that's where the air starter unit comes in. So let's go ahead and review each of these one by one. So we're gonna get started with a tug. So here is the little tug right there, and I think this could technically be my first tug. Well, not really like a tug of this design, but you would often see these on like Tiny Tugs' logo. So this is the tug right here. So overall, I think the tug looks really nice. I do like on how like they added some headlights. So as I go into the front, so here are the headlights. You also got the vehicle's grille right there. So looking really nice at the front. Moving on to the side, you got the various like wheels. The wheels are not really as detailed. There's like it's just basically tires. You don't see like gray portions that represents the wheels, but yeah, that's what it is. But again, this is 1/4 scale, so it's not always that good on details, unlike some other Tiny Tug Designs vehicles. But you also got some headlights as well, and this is the tow bar right there. That's where you would like connect to all the various like other equipments. And then moving on to the starboard section of the vehicle. We'll just do this. So here's the starboard section, again, same as the front. So once again, just only have 2 of these. These will definitely come handy on some of my airport updates I do. So now I got some additional tugs right here. Looking very cool for Tiny Tug Designs right there. And yeah, I do like the details. Overall, I think Tiny Tug Designs did a wonderful job on getting some of the details of like the front area alongside, I mean, not much on the back area, but it's just a tug, so at least they add some details at the front. So it does look very nice right there. So those are your tugs right there. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at are the GPUs. So these are the GPUs or ground power units. And once again, you would use these to like start the electrical systems inside the airplane. So basically, like whenever I work, we always hook up the GPU onto the plane so we can like have the lights on so we can do all like the cabin searches and all that stuff. But here is the GPU right there. This is where you would have the what is that? Oh yeah, like here, before I go into that, so we started off with the front. So here is the hook. So you would hook this onto here. So kind of like looking like this in a way. So yeah, this really comes in handy on why there's like a tow bar on those tugs. But here is the hook right there, or like the tow bar right there, as I like to call it. And then I also like on how they were able to add some details. Like there's like this flashing light right there. There are some GPUs that has this, but they also have like an exhaust system where all like the, you know, because like it's like gas powered, so there needs to be some kind of like exhaust right there. I think some GPUs have that, some GPUs don't. But for in this case, I'm guessing this could be the exhaust system if I were to take a guess, like the exhaust pipe right there. And then moving on to the starboard section, this is where that's basically like the main plug to plug the aircraft into, like its desired port that you need to plug this in. So this would be the GPU cable right there. And yeah, so that's that. Moving on to the back. The back is kind of like just all like the buttons and everything. There's like a display screen that's over there. And yeah, so like not much on the back designs right there, like back details. Some GPUs would have like cables on both the left and right side. This one from Tiny Tugs does not have any cables on this on like the starboard section. I think I worked on some GPUs that have this kind of feature, but I think like for the GPUs, one of them is for like jet engine airplanes, and the other one would be like for turboprop airplanes. So I like on how like those GPUs are designed, but I also like this design too. It kind of like has a certain specific like aircraft that needs the GPU to be plugged in. So those are the GPUs. They come in a set of 4 right there. So here are the 4 GPUs right there. Looking very nice. And yeah, Tiny Tug Designs, again, like similar to like the Tugs. I think there's a lot more detail that was added in like the GPUs, but we're also going to take a look at the air starter units as well. So great work, Tiny Tug Designs, on the details of the GPU. And that leads us to our last equipment from this from this bag, which is the air starter unit. So similar to the GPU, except it's a lot bigger and much more boxier. anyway, so you got like all the various like details. You got like a grill over there. You got like extra details. I think that that's supposed to be like a flashing. Oh no, this is the beacon. There's some extra stuff, but I think this could be the exhaust pipe right there. So that's that. There's some all the other details right there. Probably some like screen panels over there. And there, this could be like the cable right there that hooks up onto like the belly of the plane. Normally they would hook this part into the belly of the aircraft so they can like power, like push enough air so the engines could start, which is basically the main reason why this air starter unit is there. So yeah, once again, this is the air starter unit. So the main purpose of an air starter unit is to, it's like a backup if they want to start the engines, and this would be done at the aircraft gate. So if the because like the airplane has like its starter, like its own air unit to start the engine, so in case there isn't enough air to get the engines spinning, there's always the air starter unit that always like comes in handy in case that happens. So the air starter unit would hook up to like mostly the belly of the airplane, and then they would basically like do all the switches, have like all the air pushing into like that specific like part of the plane to like pretty much get enough air to have the engine spinning. And once the engines are spinning, then they take it out and then they push back the plane. So this will come in handy, and I think I would normally see this during the summertime because of course like dense air and all that stuff, but these come in a set of 4 similar to the GPUs. And overall, they do look very nice in detail as well. So great work, Tiny Tug Designs, on the details of the air starter units. So that's it for all the Tiny Tugs design GSE equipment I have. Overall, really nice to have them, and yeah, like these should come in handy if ever I'm going to be doing some of my airport updates in the future. But yeah, those are all the air starter units and GPUs and 2 tugs from Tiny Tugs Designs from that package, alongside the open air tugs as well. Get that on camera, so there's the open air tugs. But looking forward on using these on future airport updates I do, and overall they're gonna look very nice once I put them on my KRVL airport updates and some other future airport updates I do. So looking forward to using that. But that's it for all the GSC equipment I have. Let's move on to the model, which I'm really excited because of course excited for me, but excited for you guys because of course it's a model. So with that being said, let's move on to the model I got from PandaFox. And now let's move on to the model portion of this video, which is basically the only model you'll be seeing in this video. So once again, this model comes from PandaFox Toys, and again, it's been a while since I last ordered from PandaFox Toys, so it's really nice to order from them again. I think nowadays, cause before I used to order from them a lot, but nowadays I think with all these good retails, these other retail stores that I'm seeing or popping up, it's kind of uncommon. It kind of feels a little uncommon for me to order from PandaFox. I think this year alone, I barely didn't even order much on PandaFox. We'll see what happens during the Black Friday event. Hope I can get more, but for now, we do have a model right here. So I'm super excited to have another model from PandaFox Toys. As I go through all these packing paper right there, and I also have my receipt right here, making sure everything's all good. Alright, looking good. And here is the 5% off discount code if anyone's curious. So the code is Alpha 78 X-Ray Bravo 9, and this expires on November 22nd of 2025. So yeah, if you could get that code in, congratulations. And yeah, not sure when this video is gonna be coming out, but I'm kind of targeting for October. So yeah, hopefully you guys get that code. But we got a really cool model, and you're seeing all the patterns of the box. This is a GeminiJets model. As I take her out of the box, here she is. So right here, this is not really new to my collection, but we have the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A321Neo, the recent release from October 2024. So quite a bit of a story on why I got this, and I'll go over that on the next video clip. But yes, the Hawaiian A321Neo has returned to my collection after my previous one. Well, I'll explain it in the next video clip, but I did end up getting another Hawaiian A321Neo from GeminiJets. But yeah, looking forward to seeing this again from my collection, and overall, it's gonna be a really nice model. So with that being said, let's move on to the next clip. And here we go with the unboxing of the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A321Neo. Looking forward to having this model back in my collection once again, and yeah, it only took a few days before I have this model back in my Hawaiian Airlines collection. Now, I'll give you a story on why I ended up getting this model. So, if you guys seen on my previous videos, I actually have a Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A321Neo by GeminiJets. That particular model, November 205 Hotel Alpha, was from the September 2021 releases from GeminiJets. And I had that model since January 2022. And this month, September 8th, 2025, I ended up giving this model to my boss at my work because I think I explained it, but I haven't explained it yet, but my work I have, my ramp agent position for Hawaiian Airlines, the contract has ended on September 8th, 2025. And honestly, I kind of didn't know what to do at that point. I don't know, like this was unannounced. I did not know this was gonna happen, but I think it has to do with the Alaska Airlines takeover for all like the operations. So therefore, all of like the current company stuff had to be pretty much go away before Alaska took over. And yeah, we were all laid off, which is sad. But during my last meeting with my manager, I did end up giving my third release Hawaiian A321Neo to my boss as like a thank you gift. So yeah, that was my only Hawaiian A321Neo I have in my collection. But it's really nice to give something to my boss as a way of thank you, so like saying thank you for everything. And yeah, he really appreciated the model. Not sure if he's gonna start model collecting after that, but it just shows how really strong the aviation community can be. And yeah, giving a model as a thank you gift, it's just really special for me. I wasn't really honestly gonna go for this kind of route, but I had to anyway because I love my boss and he did an amazing job trying to help me get all the ramp experience and just like how everything works in a ramp. So honestly, it was really fun for me to like work with Hawaiian Airlines, especially for the A330, and yeah, like I wouldn't miss it for the world. So who knows where the future holds for me after like leaving the contract. And yeah, but I'm still applying for another ramp job at the airport, which hopefully I could get the job, but only time will tell. But after that scenario, I ended up ordering this model, the recent release, Hawaiian A321Neo, November 208 Hotel Alpha, from GeminiJets' October 2024 releases, and here she is. She is now here in my collection, and I'm just really glad to have this one for my Hawaiian Airlines collection once again. And don't think I'm gonna be purchasing the NG A321Neos from Hawaiian they just announced, because I am. But yeah, that just shows how like I've started to like really like Hawaiian Airlines because of their uniqueness in their routes. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to unboxing this model, so let's get started with the box review. So you got the Hawaiian Airlines logo right there, and you also got their website, hawaiianairlines.com. You got the CGI image of the plane, you got 1/4 scale die-cast model aircraft, and you got the flaws right there. And yeah, GeminiJets does a very nice job on designing these box size for these Hawaiian Airlines airplanes, which I really do appreciate GeminiJets on doing. Like I like on how they would like design these boxes for certain airlines. I could see FedEx do this, Air France, like FedEx, Air France, Qantas, just to name a few, has like a unique box design for GeminiJets instead of the regular standard version. So here is the bottom of the box, right side of the box. Apparently the box has a little bit of wear and tear. Here's the top of the box, left side of the box, and here is the back side of the box. You got the as real as it gets features right there. You got like a different background for the CGI image of the plane. So here's the plane in a purple background. You also got the social media pages right there. You got the Hawaiian Airlines logo. You got the trademark stuff right there. And of course, this is a 2024 GeminiJets release as told by the copyright label right there. And the item number of this model is GJHAL2302. And let's have a look at the model inside the pamphlet. So as I open up the pamphlet, there she is looking very nice and pretty. Gosh, I'm really happy to finally have this again in my collection. And here is the description of this particular plane and the A321Neo itself. So you can pause and read. And let's get into the unboxing. So yeah, again, like really nice to have this once again in my collection. It only took like a few days or a few weeks before I can get a hold of this. And here she is, once again, back in my collection. So let me just take her out like so. And yeah, honestly, it actually looks really similar to like the previous release. And honestly, GeminiJets did a wonderful job on this. Hopefully it's not broken. So let's see, port wing is good, starboard wing is good as well. Okay, horizontal stabilizer check, looking good on the tail. And looking good. So here she is, the fourth release, Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A321Neo. So they did November 202 Hotel Alpha, which is their first A321Neo. They did 204, 205, and here it is with 208. So yeah, looking very nice right here from GeminiJets. Really glad to have it. And overall, they did a wonderful job on this particular aircraft. So once again, really glad to have a Hawaiian A321Neo back in my collection once again. Sorry about that interruption, but take a look at her right there. Honestly, it looks almost identical to like the third release and all the previous releases, but it does look very nice, and honestly, it looks good as new as it came out of the factory. So I'm really glad to have this model once again back in my collection, and overall, great work GeminiJets on this model right here. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A321Neo 4th release from October 2024. Once again, I'm super excited to finally have this model back in my collection after weeks of absence. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to featuring this model in my airport updates, just like what I did for November 205 Hotel Alpha. So let's get started with the model review. As per usual, we're going to start at the front with the cockpit windows right there. So you got your cockpit windows looking very nice, and then you got the nose of the plane, which again, I think it might be still pointy, but from what I'm seeing with this model, I think there's a little improvement on the nose, which honestly is much more better than the previous release I have in my collection, the third release. Anyways, you got the radome, extra panels right there, you got your pitot-static details, stack ports, pitot tubes as well. You got the Airbus A321Neo tiles right there, you got your L1 boarding door, and also alongside that, you got the Hawaiian Airlines logo right there and the Hawaiian flag. And then you got the aircraft name, which I do know the name, but it's kind of like really hard to see it in 1/400 form, so I'll just splash out a text so you can understand what the name is. But yeah, I would say this name whenever I see this aircraft at work. You also got your top antennas as well, and then this is where you find domestic first right there. So domestic first, or they're just like business class seats. There's no like, yeah, just like basically business class. They're technically like domestic first in a way, but it will run from here all the way to here. And there's the L2 door right there. This could also be acting as an L2 boarding door. Yeah, the windows are really printed very nicely, and then you got the Hawaiian logo right there, like just the Hawaiian titles. And then moving on to the middle section of the plane, you got your Pratt & Whitney PW1100G engines or 1200G engines, looking very nice. And honestly, I think there's a little improvement on the engines as well. I think there's just a little bit of ground clearance. They might be slightly a little too big, but honestly, I think this is a lot better than the previous release, which honestly I think GeminiJets did a wonderful job on. There's a main landing gear as well. There's your premium economy side, so it'll run from here all the way to like here. And then this is the Hawaiian lay right there. This is like the start of the Hawaiian lay, which it does feature that gloss, which I'm not really gonna complain too much right there. I think in like just broad daylight where the sun is out, I think it'll look much better than the previous one. Like much better than this lighting setting, because like I'm using like artificial lighting, which is just the studio lights, so the lighting on the gray would appear different, but when I take this plane out in broad daylight, then I think the gray would look much better than like what it is I'm seeing right now. There's your L3 door as well, and then moving on to like the wing details, so let me just pull this out. So here are the wing details right there. You got some printed details on the wings, you got your ailerons, flaps, slats, canoes or fairings, and all your various spoilers as well. And then there's your engine pylon, which I think GeminiJets, I was about to say NG models because I know NG is going to be doing those Hawaiian A321Neos, but I think GeminiJets did a wonderful job on the representation of the wings. And there's your sharklet right there, alongside with that NG, gosh, I'm still thinking about those NG Hawaiian A321Neos again, but both GeminiJets did a good job on the winglet and the wing details itself. You also got that gray flower right there for some detail. And then moving on to the backside, also the flower is also on the inner winglet as well. And then moving on to the back area of the plane, so this is where all like the colors happen. So you can see like a magenta flower, purple flower, all the way to like some purple details right there. There's also a few purple flowers as well. Let me just zoom out a little bit more. You got your back antennas right there. You also got your L4 door, or just not L4 door. Yeah, this is the L4 door, and then you also got your, I already mentioned back antennas, but there's your L4 door. There's your US flag, and then you got the aircraft registration, November 208 Hotel Alpha, which this is the registration that previously wore the Moana 2 livery back when that livery used to exist, but that plane has since been repainted into the aircraft standard livery as of May 2025. And then moving on to the empennage area of the plane, you got your APU and your horizontal stabilizers with some nice details right there. And then you got the Hawaiian Airlines tail with the Hawaiian lady, which I think I got the correct pronunciation. So the correct way to pronounce the girl, pretty much the lady on the tail, the real pronunciation is Pualani. So that's her right there. And of course, GeminiJets did a wonderful job on the printing details of the Hawaiian Airlines logo on the tail. And then moving on to the front section of the plane, I'm not gonna go for like a closer view, like prop the tripod a little down so you can see the front, but here's the front side of the plane. You can see some engine details on the flame blades right there, and you can see the cockpit windows, which also I think the cockpit window printing looks much more better than the previous iteration. Again, huge props to GeminiJets for that one. And yeah, like, looking very nice for GeminiJets right there. So that's a big improvement on the previous releases, which that's what I love to see from GeminiJets. I think GeminiJets nowadays is starting to get even better and better with their quality stuff, so really love to see that. Anyways, moving on to the starboard section, you got your R1, R2, R3, and R4 doors. You got your forward cargo bin right there, which loads all the bags, and then you also got the aft cargo bin, another area that stores the bags. And then somewhere over there, you can see the bulk compartment, which is not commonly used on my work, but that's there when it's needed. And now moving on to a top view of the plane. So here's the top view of the plane. Looking pretty nice on like all the various like details, but not much on the aerial details. Like they just have printed details, and the beacon light should be somewhere over there. I'm not sure why it's not there, but, or maybe the beacon light is, yeah, it's kind of hard to see the beacon light. I think that's one change I've noticed on this model, is I don't see like a beacon light anywhere on the top, so that can be one change. But we do have the beacon light that's on the bottom of the plane. So here's the bottom. I think there's a little bit more details on the bottom. There's some like molded in details right there. There's the rat air turbine. You also got the GeminiJets logo as well, a very tiny GeminiJets logo. So I think that's another change they did on this model compared to the previous release. I also like the fact they also added in some engine details too. Moving on to the front view of the plane. So here is like the front view of the aircraft right there. Also, I think the ground flex configuration on the wings looks much more nicer compared to the previous iteration they did. There might be some little bit of wing flex, but at least it's not as bad as what they did with the previous one. And then moving on to the back section, here is the back section of the plane. So overall, really nice model from GeminiJets. It's kind of like the same deal as like what they did with the previous release they did in September 2021, but the concept is pretty much the same. So here is the Hawaiian A321Neo, November 208 Hotel Alpha in 1/4 scale by GeminiJets. So this is the fourth release of the model. The first release was November 202 Hotel Alpha, which is Hawaiian's first A321Neo. Then they did November 204 Hotel Alpha, and then they did the third release, November 205 Hotel Alpha, and here it is, fourth release, Hawaiian A321Neo, November 208 Hotel Alpha, and of course we got those engine releases, November 228 Hotel Alpha, which is the Hawaiian A321 I flew on from Sacramento to Kahului back in August 2021, and he also did November 215 Hotel Alpha. I'm just gonna stick with 228 Hotel Alpha for the NG version since that's a very special aircraft, but it's really nice to have this particular plane, especially for an aircraft that I worked on the ramp. And yes, I did work on November 2008, oh not 208, what am I saying? Oh, sorry guys. But I did work on November 208 Hotel Alpha multiple times during my times while I was working on the ramp for my contract. So it was really fun working on an aircraft, like having a model of an aircraft I work on. So yeah, really nice to have her in my collection once again. And once again, welcome back Hawaiian A321Neo to my collection, and I'm just looking forward to getting those NG versions at some point in the future. But for now, I have this GeminiJets version. So yeah, really nice model right there, and that concludes this unboxing. So with that being said, let's line up all my GSE equipment and this particular model for the conclusion of this video. So with that being said, let's move on to the conclusion. What a nice unboxing this is, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I got my Hawaiian A321Neo alongside my new GSE equipment. And yeah, as you can see in the middle, it kind of like shows like a scenario where the aircraft is connected to the GPU and they got the air starter unit into like the hook onto the airplane. So kind of like good old representation of like an operation right there. So yeah, that's what I like to do with these GSE, is kind of like mocking up like an operation at an airport. Of course, like with me being a former ramp employee, it's really nice to like kind of like come up with this kind of design. So yeah, really nice model here, and GSE equipment as well. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to using both of these in future airport updates I do, especially for my Roseville airport updates that I do. But yeah, it's really nice to finally have my Hawaiian A321 back in my collection once again from GeminiJets, and yeah, just looking forward to using all these to my fullest potential. So yeah, really nice models right there, and thank you so much to GeminiJets and PandaFox for all these offerings. So, and Tiny Tugs designs too, so I don't want to forget about them. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss a new upload like this anytime soon. And if you want to see more of my model plane unboxings and all the model content I do, then you can click on our playlist, and it shows you all the videos I do from unboxings, reviews, and a whole lot more I do on that playlist. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night.